Welcome to Team DataFam Tableau User Group meeting number 46. This tug works a little bit differently to others because we cater more for the presenter rather than the audience. It's great to have both, and especially for a presentation like today. But we meet at all different times of the day and the week and the hour, basically, to try and get the best presentations from around the world, like we're doing today. But if anyone wants to present, please let me know. We'll find a time slot for you. I'm actually thinking about January onwards. I'm pretty full between now and Christmas time. Everyone sort of shuts down around then, basically, as well. But the next tug coming up in about 36 hours' time is a TC25 presentation as well, actually. I don't know. Let's say it is. I'm not sure. I should know. But there could still be TC25 presentations booked over the next few weeks. If anyone presented at TC25 and you're happy to repeat your presentation, we'll find a time slot for you. If you've never presented anywhere before, we'll find a time slot for you as well. It's anything that's Tableau related is welcome on this tug. I don't care about how long your presentation is. We'll find a slot and a day that matches you. Easiest way to do that is just to email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. But today, we've got a fairly awesome presentation, and I'm not going to reveal anything. Marcelo is going to talk about standards and templates and how to do all this cool stuff with Tableau. And what does it say? Reduce my development time by 90%, by over 90%, and include standards as well. That's cool. I'm going to hand it over to you, and you can take it from here and show us what your presentation's about.
Awesome, sounds good. So let me start by sharing my screen. To be honest, guys, I didn't prepare any fancy presentation for today with the slides and those fancy animations. Nope. I actually plan to just talk a little bit about me, my journey, my career, until I decided to build something like this, which is a data app. And then give you a walkthrough. And by the way, I love this format where everyone's a presenter, so you can not only send your question in the chat, but actually raise your hand, and even if you want, interrupt me so we can keep talking, because that's the plan actually. So just having a conversation. We're all from the same place when it comes to Tableau, which is the community, this beautiful community, and that's just my way to give a little bit back. Okay, so let's get started. This is Marcelo. I'm a Tableau visionary and Tableau ambassador from Brazil. I live in Brazil, for those who don't know me yet. And instead of many of you guys, I actually didn't start my career in the technology field. I started my career as a designer. I love design. So I used to play a lot of computer games in the past, and I'd love to build those games, right? So that's why I started to learning design. But I eventually decided to move forward and do my real passion, which is technology. That's when I found this beautiful world of data, and that's actually what I think that when it changed my life, right? A single decision changed my life, and that was the moment. After I started studying technology and started working with data, I realized that I had a great opportunity to actually take advantage of my previous role as a designer and bring some of my designing skills to my dashboard development. And boom, it worked pretty well. I received a lot of compliments because I really cared about design, user experience. And it was a really great combination, merging these previous skills. And eventually I thought I need to speed up that process. So instead of just creating dashboard templates every time for the same client, I decided to create a dashboard template for the same client so I can follow the same standard and consistency across all the dashboard I was building for the same client. And I did that. That time I downloaded Figma. Probably some of you guys do use Figma. It's a really great and powerful tool. So I started using Figma, looking for some references in Behance, Dribble, and of course Tableau Public, right? But here's the problem. I eventually noticed that it doesn't scale, right? So that was the main problem for me when I realized I need to do something about this, because I was pretty much creating the dashboard template in Figma, replicating the same thing in Tableau, and then sharing Tableau files with my colleagues and of course with my clients too. But as I mentioned, that doesn't scale, right? Because I need to manage file, I can control version, I can do anything around that. So it's not that better, it's not that good. It was working at the time, but it's not that good. So that's when I decided to create an app to solve that problem. But which problem, Marcelo? The problem of doing exactly the same thing over and over again, which is you guys probably know that whenever you need to create a dashboard, you need to drag and drop a lot of times, right? And it's not only about creating charts, but also about creating the dashboard itself, the look and feel, the user experience. You need to drag and drop a lot of times, a lot of containers, static objects like image, text, a lot of times. And if you just sum all the time you spend doing that in a year, it's a lot of time. So that's the problem I'm trying to solve here. Basically, speed up your development process, but keep the standard and the consistency across multiple teams. So this is the landing page of TabDesign, and yes, that's the name of this app. I'm not going to walk you guys through this landing page because you can do it by yourself, of course. So let me just share the link here in the chat. Good, but I want to discuss only one section of this landing page, which is the true cost of dashboard template creation. And when I say dashboard template creation, it's not only the dashboard creation itself, but the creation of the template. So it's already good, right? Because if you create a template, you can reuse it. And if it's that bad, what about creating different dashboards all of the time without consistency and without standards? That's even worse. So when it comes to the true cost of creating that, I mean that every single time you do that, you spend a specific amount of time, right? And that time is not only from you, but also from other folks from your team, maybe a UX designer, maybe stakeholders. And as we all know, time is money. So if you're not saving money, right? If you're not saving time, sorry, you're basically increasing your cost. So that's what I want to point this out here. Again, I won't give you a detailed walkthrough here. I just want to mention that. And of course, some of the values here might differ based on the region. Sorry for that. I try to do my best when it comes to averages. But at least the time might be real, because I did spend quite some time trying to figure this out. Because as I said, I used to be a designer. So I was pretty much a combination of all of the folks here, like designer, Tableau developer, and of course a stakeholder as well. So usually when I create a dashboard template, I spend 1 day, maybe 2 days, depends on the complexity. And that includes searching on Google, as I mentioned, FreePick, Behance, Dribble, and of course Public, building the template in Figma, and of course then building exactly the same thing in Tableau. If it's easy, then it might take a couple of hours, maybe some minutes, like 30, 40 minutes. If it's very complex, then might take even 1 day. And of course, let's not forget the stakeholder time. We need to validate our work, right? We cannot build whatever we want and say, here, client, here's what I built, move forward with it. No, we can't. We must validate it with them, right? And that, of course, includes stakeholders' time. I'm not going to talk about prices here. I just want to point it out that it does take time to create a dashboard. And when I say dashboard, I'm not even talking about data. I'm not touching data here. I'm not talking about the time we spend cleaning the data. I'm just talking about the time we spend building the dashboard by interacting with the static elements itself. Okay, so I'm talking a lot. So let's actually see what is this app and how can I actually speed up my dashboard development process. So let me log into my account here. Everything is already configured. So let me log into my account and open a Tableau instance. Okay, good. It's opening here. All right. So whenever you log into this app, that's the page you see. It's basically nothing, right? Nothing where you can click, because I don't have any templates yet. But if I go to starter templates, then I can see one template that I can duplicate, so I don't need to start from scratch. So that this is already a quick win. So let's do that. Let's call this DataFam template. Oops, template, and click on create. What it does is basically duplicate that template I was saying, and of course, I just got an error. Of course that happened. So let me try again. Maybe with a different account, if it was my permissions. Demo presentation always get messy, and this wouldn't be different. So let's give it a try again. Test, oops, not test, DataFam, the template. And let's click on create. It should work. Yeah, of course it did. Good. And as I mentioned, it just duplicated that template. So the main goal here is that you don't need to start from scratch. And let's pretend you already love this, right? You already love the way it is. Maybe your grid and your layout for a dashboard might be a little bit different. So let's change that real quick by just merging these blocks right here. Let me do this, maybe this, and maybe this as well. And good, now I have a totally different grid. And again, let's pretend we love this and already want to use this in Tableau. What I need to do is just go here and click on copy to Tableau, then go to Tableau. I don't need to connect to any data yet. As I mentioned, I'm not going to touch our data. I'm going to Tableau. I just create this dashboard element. I defined my dashboard size, and now I'm going to press Ctrl V. And now you guys can see it. It took like less than a second. Yeah. And as I mentioned, if you're not as talented as Chris, it might take some hours for you to do this. What do you mean, Marcelo? To create all of these nested tiled containers. As I mentioned before, it's kind of annoying, right? You'd spend a lot of time doing that maybe, but that gotta be done. If you want a really well-organized dashboard with a proper user experience and really customer user experience based on your needs, yeah, that would take some time. And as you saw, it just took a couple of seconds. So yeah, that's the major goal we're trying to achieve with this product. And boom, I'm happy I was able to do that in just a couple of seconds. But Marcelo, what if I actually like what I see, but it's not exactly what my client needs, right? Because my client has a different branding, maybe different colors. You might want to customize different things here. And that's where we go to the structure tab as we go here previously and into the format tab. Because these tabs are basically the tabs you're going to do all of the magic. So basically customize your template. Again, you're going to do the work only once and then reuse it forever. Okay. And the great part, not only you, but your teammates too. But I'm going to show that in a second how your teammates can take advantage of this template as well. For now, let's just edit a couple of things here. Let's pretend, actually, instead of having a top bar, a header, and my grid, I actually want a left bar with my navigation maybe. Then you go to the structure tab, and with some simple and very easy to use features, you can just enable, for example, left bar here, and boom, I have a left bar. And does that work? You can just check it. Every action you take, you can just check it to confirm if that's working properly, and boom, it is working properly. And it is real elements, as you can see. It's in gray here, which is different from the preview mode because it's a button, right? So I need to specify the target. But everything you see here in your dashboard should be exactly the same thing you see here in the preview. Good. So now that we have the navigation button here, we don't need the navigation button in the top bar, right? So let's go to the top bar and disable the navigation option. And it went away. Good. Maybe you want to add some text in here. You just need to toggle the eye to turn on or turn off some elements. And the good news is that all of the, let me go to Tableau, all of the layout customization you see in here, it's also available in the app as well. What does that mean is that you can actually change the border, background, outer padding, and inner padding as well. And for those that went to Tableau conference, they said that maybe we might be able to have route and corners in the future, right? Whenever they release that, that will be in the app as well. But let's do that in the app. Let's configure our template for ourselves, of course, and for our teammates to be used in the future. Good. So let me go to the text and apply some customization. I can just name this to workbook name, right? Not because I want all of my dashboards to have the workbook name here in the way it's written, but I want to kind of guide my user that it needs to replace where it says workbook name to the proper workbook name. Good. Now let's go back and go to the header. So I can just collapse this and go to the header, text element as well, and maybe remove this title, which is basically what I have dashboard name. So that makes more sense now, right? Good. So as you can see, in just a couple of clicks, I'm basically customizing. And if you notice that whatever you see, I always have padding, margin, border, and background. If I go to title, I can enable that, and I have other customizations as well. But look at this. Whenever I click on this configuration, instead of providing me the options to configure, it actually provides me a drop-down list. That's weird, right? Why it's weird? Because I didn't do anything yet. That's because, again, this is a starter template, so you don't need to start from scratch. Most of the things is already done for you. But how can I customize it then? Then that's when you go to the Format tab. That's the place you configure some of the global styles you're going to reuse over and over again. For example, you might have a color that you want to apply in the top bar, in the left bar, and maybe in the header. Who knows? Then that's the place you go here and create your own global styles, maybe color. Let's pretend I want to call this sidebar color, and then provide a specific color for it. Let's maybe use a really bright color like this red, right? Then we can go to the structure tab. I want to change my left bar, right? So let's go to left bar. And what I want to change, my background color. So let's go in background, click on this configuration icon, click on this drop down, and look at this. I can see my global style. So let me click on this, and boom, it's configured. It's showing as reconfigured. Again, the good news is that it's in live mode. So if you go to the format again and say, oh, that red looks off, I don't like it, let me change it again, you can keep changing, and that reflects in real time in your preview mode. So maybe let me find a different color here so I can at least see the text there. Good. And now let me just double check if this is working properly. Let me go to Tableau, Control Z, then Control V, just to paste it, and boom, it's in here, and it's with the colors I defined. Good. So yeah, but Marcelo, why did you be that way? Again, this is supposed to be a conversation, so let me explain the reason behind some of my decisions. I be that way because at the end of the day, I don't want to only help you guys from the community, which are basically Tableau developers, right? I want to also help the stakeholders. What do you mean by that? With this AI world, all of the stakeholders are creating their own analysis even more, right? But of course, most of them are not expert as you guys are, so they might not be able to create exactly the same thing you're creating. But even though they might not be as expert as you are, they might want to recreate exactly the same thing you're creating for them. Let's pretend you're a consultant, you create a really beautiful and amazing dashboard for them with a really good and well-designed structure. But then, of course, that's life. You move to another client, right? So how they can continue with your standards and consistent dashboard design, basically by using a dashboard template. So that's why I created like this, because that's a really good way and really easy to use way, so they can basically making some edits without doing any coding, without creating anything that would require like a course or anything like that, right? So they just go to the Format tab, define the styles they want, and apply the areas they want. That's pretty much it. Good. So before I move on, any questions so far? Hopefully, I'm not talking too fast. Hopefully. It's making some sense for you guys.
There's a lot of comments. I can't see any questions yet. That's cool.
Okay, good. So let's keep moving. And before I move on to a different feature, I want to highlight one really cool feature that I really like, which is this public template. I didn't mention this, but I've been building this for a long time now. It's, I think, 3 years now or something like that. I'm not very good with dates, but it's actually more than 2 years. And I'm already on the 5th version of this. This started as a hobby by, oh, let me try some, some stuff and see if I can automate dashboard creation. But any of the version and any of the previous version was working properly, or maybe going in the path I would like. But once I built this version and I finally built this feature called public template, I realized that, okay, now I'm ready to release this to the rest of the community and give it back. And what this feature does, it basically says, oh, I want my template to be public. And what does that mean? It's basically saying that you're making this available for others, to others, right? Which is basically the core, the essence of the of Tableau Public, right? Because that's what Tableau Public is. So let me log out and log in into a different account. So what is Tableau Public? Tableau Public is basically a place where you can create a portfolio, but also share your work with others so they can download the TWBX, Tableau file basically, and get inspired and reverse engineer what you did so they can basically try to replicate, right? So it's a way to help others as well. So let me log in into, I forgot the account I was using. Maybe let me use this one. And I basically try to get the essence from, from Tableau Public and do exactly the same thing here in this app. So let's pretend Chris created a really good, really amazing dashboard template, and he wants to share it with others. Maybe I want to use his template. So whenever he enables that option, if you go to community template, I'll be able to see the template he created in here. So in the same way I did in the start template where I clicked on duplicate template, I can do exactly the same thing and duplicate on the template Chris created. Isn't that cool? It's basically the essence of helping others. That's the essence from Tableau community, basically, which is giving back, right? And yeah, I'm really proud about this feature. I had that in my mind that, oh, I want to do something like that in my app, and I was amazed when I was finally able to replicate that. And the good news is that you can actually create good templates, because if you don't apply any sort of ways to evaluate and all of the public templates that is available here, everyone can do that. And as I mentioned, you can create unlimited templates as you want, right? So we might ended up having like thousands of public templates. So how can I basically sort that? One really good way is you can just favorite the template. So if I click here, it basically says, oh, template favorite successfully. Very similar to what we have in Tableau, right? And also you can just duplicate that. So let me click here on duplicate template, let me write test and click on create. Hopefully this time it will work. Yeah, good. And now if I go and click back to template list and go back to the community templates, as you see now, it shows one here on the left bottom corner. And that basically means how many times that template was duplicated. So if you want to find something that is really cool and built by others, you can just go here in the sort option and sort by favorites or copies, right? So you're basically finding the good ones based on the community, based on the community's opinion. So yeah, at the end of the day, there are a lot of more features. I'm not going to cover everything in here because that will take much more time, because you can customize it in a lot of different ways. Let me go back to the editing mode and show you just a little bit about that. You can customize the root area, which is basically the major and main container that basically everything is in. The content area, which is this section, the chart area, everything. You can just open it, see what's going on there. For example, oh, I actually don't want the subtitle in my chart. You can just remove that, right? And if you just do some math and combine the options based on top bar, header, left bar, right bar, plus all of the formatting options and child elements, there are tons of templates you can create, right? So yeah, we don't have that much time in this session because I do want to cover another thing, which is basically how you can scale this, right? Because now you just create a template that you can use by yourself, or maybe make it available to others publicly, right? But let's pretend you're in a team, or maybe you're a consultant, and you're in a Tableau team that has have different clients, and you want to share with your whole team. So maybe one single person from your team can duplicate all of the templates, or maybe one template in a new client, right? So how can I share with my teammates? That's the question. Let me go back and leave it away. And that message appeared because it didn't save it. That's another important thing. Every action you take, it's, as I mentioned, it's live mode. So every action you take, it changes the dashboard template in real time. But if you close your tab without saving, of course, you're going to lose your work, as it would happen in Tableau, right? So do not forget to save. So let me log in into a different account to show you how you can share this with your teammates. While I'm doing this, let me read the chat. Oh, nice. Good. So, okay. So how can I do that? And I forgot to mention, but let me go here and maybe let me open the landing page once again. I said I wouldn't go through this, but let me go real quick. This app does have the individual and team license. Okay, so these are two different ways to access the app. For individuals, you can basically create an account. You have 14 days trial, and I'm going to share a really cool thing at the end of this meeting. But you also have the team license, which is basically the way you have to share your templates with others. I know a lot of you guys are seeing here some charts. I didn't present charts yet, right? At the end of the day, I'm just showing how to create the dashboard structure. This is a brand new feature. I didn't share this with anyone yet, so you'll get an announcement. But before talking about that, let's actually understand how I can share my template with others. So if I click here in the top, I can see that I can switch my account type between my personal account and my team account. I can create new teams and define the amount of creator license and viewer license I want, and provide a team name and click on create team. Then I'll have a team, but I already have one, so let's check it out. Good. Now after I clicked here, I can only see team templates, right? And there's a reason around that. So let me click here again in the top right corner and click on team to see what's in there. Good. This is the place where you Black Friday offer. Yeah. Not pay one, not pay once and have forever, but something like that. So this is the place where you actually manage all of the licenses. Because at the end of the day, I do love coding. So whenever I have the chance to merge my design, coding, and data skills, I do that actually for fun, right? So a lot of times, some folks, when we're waiting between meetings and waiting for others to join the meeting, we just start talking about our lives, right? And a really common question is, what do you do in your free time? And sometimes I actually say, oh, I do coding. I really like coding. So and I really like everything around this. And one of the most important topics around coding is principles and best practices, right? So one thing that I actually don't like in Tableau, and sorry Tableau about that, is that every time I need to get a new license, I need to talk to someone. I have a little bit of anxiety, so I don't like to talk to people every time, right? Sometimes I'm just tired of my work because it's already 8 p.m. I still need to do my own things, right? But I just realized, oh, I need more license. So because of that, I implemented a way so you can manage your license by yourself with this page. And when I say manage your license, really manage your license. So for example, I can go here and I only have one creator and one viewer. If I want a new creator, I can just go here, increase the number, click on update license, you confirm, is that really what you want to do? I can confirm that. Now, after my confirmation, boom, I now have 2 create license, as it says that, right? But what if I want to reduce the number of licenses? I can just reduce the number the same way I did to increase the amount of license. But look at this, I still have 2 here. And again, as I mentioned before, I do love coding. And when it comes to coding, it comes with principles too. So I realized, oh, if I already paid for it, I'm not going to take advantage of you and just remove your access to something you already paid. So you still have access to those 2 creators you paid for, right? But look at this, it does have a message saying on that date, you'll be reduced to 1, and then the creator license amount will be only 1. So again, I'm just trying to do what I have as a vision on what would be good for you guys to do everything by your own, so you don't need anyone to bug. Okay, good. So this is how you manage the license, but we still didn't cover how we share templates, right? And that's where we start talking about the roles and license types. Basically, roles. If I go here, I can invite some folks. I only have basically, it's a team. It's an army of 1 people here, unfortunately. But whenever you have more folks, you can actually assign a different role for that person. But actually, let me go here and show you the options. Good. So we've got user, manager, and admins. Basically, user are the general users that are going to use the app. Managers are those folks that actually needs to provide access to the app, and admins can actually control the license amount. So this way you can actually provide the right access to the right people. Maybe you are a data you are the data product manager or something like that. You actually don't need to touch Tableau, you don't need to do any technical thing, but you realize that, oh, you actually need to manage any third-party app. So in this case, you would be an admin, but maybe your tech leader might be a manager because this person got to provide the access to the other folks, right? But what type of access do we have? We have got creator and viewer. Basically, creator are basically those folks that are going to create new content. I'm trying, as you could see, guys, I'm trying to kind of bring all of the concepts from Tableau and maybe take advantage of this that everyone's already used to it, right? So yeah, that's why it has the same name. But basically, creator, basically the license type where we're going to give for those folks who are going to create content, basically creating templates. And viewer, for those folks who are going to use your template. But why do we have a different license type? Because as I mentioned, we want to scale this, right? And maybe not everyone needs to create templates. Maybe the tech leader create the template and everyone else from the team only needs to use and reuse the same template. So that's why we have the viewer option, because the viewer option does provide the ability, let me go to the playlist and show you, the ability to take advantage of the main features in here, which is the width and height, basically dashboard size, and the grid. But look at this, I cannot change and do anything else, but I can define my grid layout. So for example, I want a different grid layout. I can go here and define the grid I want. I just define the exactly size of my elements, of my containers, and boom, I have a different grid now, and I can just go here, click on copy, go to Tableau as we did previously, and paste it, and boom, we have the exact same thing we saw in the app, right? But as you see, I didn't do anything, right? So I'm just reusing the template. So that's why we have different license. And how can I provide access to that template then? So let me go into the team and show you how that happens, which is basically very similar to what we would do in Tableau. So good, I just changed to a creator license. Let me go here and show you this option, which is share. Whenever I go here, I can provide I can write the username or the group name. I don't remember if I mentioned the group before, so let's go there again. And here we have different tabs. Oops, one really important thing. We do have history, which is a cool thing. I don't know if you guys like it, but I love it. You can track everything that is done in the app, right? So if you change the license, if you increase or reduce the license amount, if you provide access to someone, or even maybe let's pretend you have a colleague that is not that cool, right? And for some reason, this person is fired and try to mess everything up, right? Yeah, if this person tries to delete everything, you won't delete immediately, and you create a login here so you can see actually what happens. But yeah, let's not talk about that for now. So I can actually create groups. Let me create a group, engineering, provide a color, create a group, and provide access based on a group as well. Now that I create a group, let me go back to my template. And maybe I'm talking too fast. I know that, sorry. This is because I'm too excited about this. I don't know. I'm really proud about this. I'm very excited. And I might, I just don't want to explain all of the time for the session. So sorry about that. If I'm speaking too fast, just let me know here in the chat. I'm just looking every time in the chat if you have any questions. So if that's the case, just let me know, okay? So let's keep moving. Good. So let me click on share again. As I mentioned, now you can provide access to specific users. So if I had a different user in my team, I could just write the name, email, or whatever, or a different group like engineering. So let me give access to this engineering group. And I can even provide the different type of access. So view can only use the view options, and of course, edit can use the creator options. But let's pretend, you know what? I do want to provide access to this template to everybody. So you don't actually need to do this. You can just enable this option, which is everyone in the team will have view access. So you just need to do that, click on save, and now everyone in the team has access to view this template and reuse it as you want. Okay, so any questions so far?
There's a few in the Q&A section. I don't know if anyone wants to come off mute and ask them themselves.
Oh, I can see.
So Angela's first question was, can your templating approach support parameterized templates, for example, allowing users to easily swap out data sources or adjust key metrics without breaking the template structure?
That is a great question. For now, no. And there's a reason around that. I actually don't want to touch your data. That's the reason. And why? Because a lot of different companies, like maybe JP Morgan Chase, have a lot of security concerns around using third-party apps, right? So the way I found to help the community, even those that work for like big corporations that has a lot of security concerns, they could take advantage of this app. The way I found was that, I actually don't want to touch your data. So you can do whatever you want, replicate whatever you want, create as many templates as you want, but that doesn't touch data at all, right? So it's very secure. There's no sensitive data in here. And even the payment, which at the end of the day, sensitive data is not handled by me, it's handled by Stripe. So for example, if I go here and try to create a new team and click here and create, it goes to the checkout, which is handled by Stripe, as you can see. And I didn't even change the URL, so you guys could see that this is actually handled by a really big corporation, and that is very secure, right? So I did that on purpose. So sorry, but no, yeah. And that is a reason, and that's the reason.
So maybe I misinterpreted the question. I'm thinking the question's more about Tableau and worksheet design and dashboards and your data sources. And I'd actually say, which is what you were saying anyway, there's no data sources used here. Like
yes, that is correct.
There's no danger of revealing the data, because when you're using TabDesign, it's like using Tableau without a data source. There's no data. You don't see the data at all. You're not even connecting to the data. You've sort of jumped up a level and you're just doing the dashboard design without even a data source. Yeah.
Yes.
So no security concerns, because there's just no data. It's a crazy concept in Tableau that we can be building a dashboard without anything there, because you're building the template of what the dashboard looks like. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that sort of answers Angela's next question, but I'll ask that anyway. She said, how does your templating approach handle updates to the underlying data model or schema changes? For example, if a field is renamed, added, or removed in the source data, can the template adapt automatically, or is a manual intervention needed? I think it's the same thing. It's
Yes.
you're building a template without even a data source there. There's nothing in here that says Superstore or HR data or just anything, because there's not a data source there. Yeah.
Yeah, you basically understood it right, Chris. I'm not touching any data at all. So I'm basically helping you, as I mentioned in the beginning, to speed up your dashboard development process. So let's pretend the data is still being cleaned by the data engineer team, but you don't want to just sit on your chair and keep waiting until they give you the data cleaned so you can move forward with your work, right? That's a great way to actually keep moving, create your dashboard, your template, maybe talk to your stakeholders to validate it if needed. But yeah.
Cool. Jacob was next. He said, I'm expecting to, this is an interesting question. I'm expecting it's not possible because it's a Tableau desktop specific thing, but can you make the Tableau paste at 00 X and Y rather than 1010 X and Y? And was that covered in the demo that he might have missed? That to me sort of feels a little bit like padding, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is a great question, Jacob. And unfortunately, with this copy and paste feature, it's not possible because, as you just said, it's a Tableau thing. The way you can handle that is basically download the template file itself, right? So I provided the two options. I really like the copy option because it's that fast. It just take like less than a second. I can just go to X and Y and put 0 in both, right? But if you want everything already done, you can always download the file itself.
And the last question in the Q&A is Fee.
Hey Marcelo, that's it's been a great presentation so far, and I can see so many applications, especially for consultants and freelancers like myself and Chris and a bunch of other people. I see this as like a really nice value add as well for our clients, to be able to help them out and get started, as they're starting to do their deployments. The one question I have for you, and it's a bit cheeky, I'm hoping for an AppSumo type deal where we can get a lifetime deal. And I'm not saying, pay the $7 or whatever, but, maybe we pay for 12 months up front and then we get a lifetime deal just while you keep the service up and running. Would that be possible?
That's a great question. I've thought about this, like lifetime deals. And even though I love the option, I'm kind of hesitant a little bit around that because I really want to bring value to community, right? And if you guys say, oh, this is actually not helpful at all, I'm not going to, keep moving forward with this. So there are some users already using this, so that makes me happy. That makes me, think that I'm going the right path. At least for now, there is no lifetime deals at all. Of course, we can always talk. I can provide like a huge discount, like 90% or something really crazy like that. But yeah, lifetime deals, at least for now, not possible because I'll need to kind of configure that still. But yeah, good to know that would make sense for you, so I can think about it.
So the reason why I ask is otherwise I'm likely to buy it for a month and then switch it off. Whereas if you told me, okay, Fee, you can pay $150 and then you can just not have a subscription, but you just keep going with it, then I would pay the $150 up front. But you're unlikely to actually get that in the lifetime. I just don't personally. I don't like ongoing subscriptions for things, and so it just means that I would pay a little instead of paying more. Something to consider.
Good to know. Thank you.
I don't know if you want to do the rest of it, and Jacob is sort of asking the same question. He says, those chart examples in the other template that we showed briefly, so that the test one, I think it was, is that hinting at maybe the tool can be used to do wireframing in the future, or is that something that's available now?
Yeah, it's basically the brand new thing I've been cooking for this app. Even though I'm not touching your data, you'll be able to create charts. Look at this. So let's check it out. So let me log in my master account. As you see, this is still on localhost, right? So it's not in the production yet. Let me open this test. As you see, is there anything different you guys can notice here? Maybe here in the top, there's a toggle, right? Basically, if I mouse over it, I'll be able to see some tooltips. So this is basically the design mode, which is what we just saw. And we also have the prototype mode. So if I go click on prototype mode, I have some default chart configuration, in this case, chart color configuration, right? So I can define the color for the max value or for the mean value, because maybe you want some, some color shading. And of course, max value is also the mean color, because line charts doesn't have any kind of shades, right? It only has one color. So you can define that, and of course, as the rest of the app, you can always pick something from the global styles, or maybe do something custom. Let me reset here to make sure. Good. But now, as it says here, if I select a chart container, maybe this one, I do have some options to interact with. So I can define, for example, the chart type. In this case, I select a bar, but it has a line, a pie. I forgot to add the none. As I mentioned, this is still in local, not production ready. I'm going to select the option none. Maybe you just want to provide the container, space, and not have a chart. But yeah, you can define the chart size, and that means basically they can define if you want more bars, less bars, and so on and so forth. Provide a sheet name, for example, chart one, maybe chart the good one. Let me call this the good one. That's my chart name. And in this case, if I copy my element and go to Tableau, look at this, and boom, nothing happens. Why? Because that doesn't work. That's how Tableau proceeds, right? But what I can do is actually I can download my template file, go to my Tableau, open the file. So let me do that. Good. And now, boom, it does have all of the charts. But it's, in this case, it's slightly different because, as I mentioned, I'm going to iterate that, repeat myself a little bit. It's not production ready. That's something I've been cooking. You'll be ready soon, maybe next week. Who knows? But really soon, for sure. But yeah, the idea is that as everything in the app, everything you see here should be the same thing you see here. I'm not quite there yet, but almost there. Okay, so, but yeah, I can configure. And as you saw, if I go to this chart, the good one, as I rename it. So, but here's the thing. Why I did that? I did that because I really want to speed up the dashboard development process, right? But at the end of the day, if I'm not touching your data, what I'm doing then? I'm basically using the simple Superstore connection. And as you see, in this case, it's live connection, right? But the idea is that you'll be basically an extract connection out of the TWBX file, okay? And the major thing here is that you'll be able to swap the data source. So there was a question, right, that was asked before, that is there a way that I can swap my data source? And yes, not yet, but there will be really soon. So I can go here, for example, and maybe just rename my dimension. In this case, my chart type, my bar chart, I can switch to a line chart, but in this case, I'm going to do that for a bar chart and call this maybe, I don't know, segment, right? And my measure will be my revenue. And then I can download my template. Let me open that again. I open my new dashboard template now with the charts and with the new field names. Why I'm providing that feature, by the way? Because whenever you need to swap data sources, the fields gotta be the same, the field names, right? So if I have category here, right, and swap to something that is actually maybe segment, then that will not work. But if you're finding data source, the dimension you need to use in this bar chart is already segment. You can just provide segment here, and boom, just go to your data source, filter, replace data source, and yeah, I don't have any data sources in here, but you can just connect your new data source, replace the data source, and boom, everything will change automatically and properly. So that's the thing. And as you see, it also says revenue here, which is the measure name I provided, right? So that is the brand new feature that is coming soon, which is you'll be able to actually not only create your dashboard structure, but actually create a whole dashboard. And that's really helpful, as I mentioned before, for those folks are waiting, the data engineers, that takes, as we know, a lot of time to clean the data, right? You don't need to wait for them to move forward with the work. You can already move forward with this, define your template structure, define your chart, your dashboard, and apply the charts you want. So you can validate with the stakeholder up ahead, right? And of course, whenever you have the data, just go to Tableau, swap the data sources, and boom. So just don't forget to rename here and provide the right aliases for the fields. Okay, but yeah, that is the brand new thing I've been talking about.
I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking here. I think I saw a question. No, it wasn't a question. Okay, good. So yeah, that's it, guys. Again, there are a lot of other things would be good to cover, but I don't want to waste all of your time for sure. Hope you guys like it. If you want to keep learning this, or maybe just if you still have some questions, just reach out, send me a DM, and I'll be really happy to talk to all of you.
Wendy, do you have a question?
Just Marcelo, that's great. Thank you for that presentation. I think my screen's frozen, but that's okay. So in that last demo, you're mapping, you're basically with your labels, it's like a mapping to the data source. Is that
here? You mean here?
When you yes, the aliases, yeah. So you're basically mapping to the data source so that when you paste that into Tableau, it kind of maps to those fields.
Yeah, I'm kind of mapping. It's not going to change automatically, but it's a way so you can actually change it to the right data source without any errors, right? Because if I don't do that, for example, let's look at the previous one, which is this one, that I didn't provide the aliases, right?
Yeah.
As you see, it has some weird names like sales, MD. I don't even know what MD means, right? So that wouldn't be helpful for you to swap the data source at all. It's basically medium, right? So just to be clear. But that wouldn't be helpful for you to swap it. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, my phone just started talking to me. That's weird. But yeah, if you swap the data source without providing the right aliases, you would basically get some errors, right? Because any of the fields would match. But after you provide the alias and then try to swap the data source, the mapping Tableau would map properly all of the fields needed for that specific chart. So that's why it's so important to use these aliases. So yes, short answer, it is a mapping. Yeah.
No, that's great, because I was just thinking in terms of like if you have one template that's mapped to quite a few of your data fields, you can copy that template and redesign the wireframe and the mapping would be intact. Would that be right?
Say that again, sorry?
So now I'm just thinking, like, say you had a template and then you had quite a few of your fields already mapped in one design. You could copy that template design into and like copy that, but and that would retain all the mappings, and you don't have to repeat that the aliases, and you could just change your design on the.
Oh, I think I understand. Like if you want, oh, that is actually a good thing. That's a cool thing that I could
that's
do,
really cool.
which is basically field mapping, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like that yet, but that's actually something I can think of and maybe even implement. But yeah, unfortunately for now it's not.
Yeah, if you copied, say, this one, copied that template and then just changed the wireframe, it would retain all those fields names, or doesn't copy the field names.
You mean change the wireframe, like adding, for example, a left bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would keep it. That would keep it.
No, I think that would be good. So if you had quite a few fields that you had mapped with one wireframe, you could literally copy that through into a different template, into a new, without having to redefine all those maps.
Yeah, the mapping itself, we cannot kind of share the mapping across different templates. But that's something I'll think of and maybe even create that feature. That would be
Yeah.
a good option, actually.
It would,
Thanks
because
for sharing.
because you then you know, you don't have to replicate that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like in my case, I'm not a consultancy firm. I work for a fashion footwear business, and this is what would be useful for me, something like this, that I could then replicate using the field names that obviously don't change because it's embedded within the data source. And then, yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah, you're almost defining your aliases once and then carrying them across templates as well.
Yeah.
Have the database schema separately for the templates, and
Yeah.
You could even work, you know, have a way of building that as a global setting within your template and then applying that across multiple. I don't know. Chris would probably be the best one to know how to architect that.
Oh, Marcelo's the best one. He's right.
Oh, Marcelo. Of course, Marcelo.
I look at this, I just think it's magic anyway. As I was trying to explain earlier, it's like how you can't be in Tableau and design a dashboard without having data. Okay, but we're not in Tableau, but we're designing a dashboard without data so we can put into Tableau that works. I'm like, that's just crazy. Awesome, but crazy. You know, it's just, why hasn't this been thought of before? That's the brilliance of it. Okay, that might be the end of the questions. We can move on if you want to.
Okay, actually, there's a question from Brand. Is it possible to turn off the separated list titles? Think of accessibility best practices, which prefer using the title integrated in the video sheet. Oh, got it. Like using this, but not as a separate object, but also as part of the dashboard. Sorry, part of the worksheet itself. Is that right? Was that your question? If so, I've been thinking about this, and I do want. Yes, good. So I've been thinking about this, and actually do want to implement that with this prototype option. So like having a way where you can actually configure and say, not here, but here, the chart area, and say, instead of doing this, I actually want to, have that embedded in the worksheet itself. So like part of using the default worksheet title, feature, instead of using a separate object. At the beginning, I decided to use the separate object approach because maybe I just want to provide legend, right? Like this. And here's the worst part of using these title containers, right? But I can do this, for example, and just put in here, maybe even hide the title, and boom, I have my legend here, right? So yeah, it is a good catch. I'll do that. That's already something I've been thinking of, and just confirm that would be helpful. So thank you. So I think that's pretty much it, everyone. So let me go back. Stay on the page. Let me save. As I mentioned, let's always save our work, right? Good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out. I'll be sharing my LinkedIn here in the chat. And I would say that's it for today, I think. But yeah, if you still have questions, I'll be here for a couple of minutes more.
Of course you're here for a couple of minutes more. We've got a few more things to do.
Oh yeah, that's right. Almost forgot that.
There's no logging off yet. And if you want to, there's all Marcelo's contact details. Some of those are in the chat, but again, Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Tableau Public, etc. Okay, next section, Fast 5. So again, people know what this section's about. You've probably seen the recordings on YouTube as well. No one's seen these questions because I made them about a half an hour before this meeting. How did I make them? Using AI and go through and pick the questions I like. If anyone wants to submit questions, that would be better. It's easier on me. But obviously they're quick questions, quick answers, no right or wrong answers. So I don't want any ranking things of how long have you been using Tableau. It's always a good question, but I prefer to go down the personal route of things like, what do you think, this or this? Because it's just your personal feelings. There's no right or wrong. It's just seeing what people's perceptions are. Saying that some of the questions are hard, some of the questions are easy. If you want to pass, feel free to pass, and we can take it from there. 5 questions, right? Should be simple. First question, do you prefer dashboards that tell a story or ones that explore data freely?
I would say dashboard tells a story. Why? Because I really like creating custom things. And when I say creating custom things, it's like bringing the concepts from design, which is really think about the end user, right? And really create something that's actually really helpful for that specific user or group of users. So, and with a dashboard actually built for data exploration, that you don't have the freedom to create something that actually solves the user's problem, because you don't know what is their user's problem, because you provide them the ability to explore the data. But yeah, I prefer dashboard as a story.
That's cool. Question number 2, is the storyteller the dashboard, the data, or the person reading it?
That is a great question, and I do think that the storyteller is the dashboard. Even though data is important, right? Data by itself, even though it's clean, right, doesn't tell any story unless you put in a certain format for a specific audience so they can really understand what's going on. So yeah, dashboard definitely.
Yep, perfect. And question 3 is, do you prefer showing trends over time or comparisons between groups?
That's tricky. I like both, but I would say comparison between groups. That's usually, at least for me, the best way to kind of understand how good we are now, right? Because we cannot say if we're good now, we don't compare with anything, right? And when it comes to comparison, you can compare between other groups that can be a specific dimension or even with a previous period, without actually seeing a pattern on a trend chart, but just compare with the previous period itself. So yeah, I prefer comparison between groups.
Perfect, easy. And question 4 is, do you enjoy experimenting with new chart types or stick with proven designs?
I always try to experiment new chart types, but let's be real, most of the times it doesn't apply to the real world, right? So most of the time we gotta use bars, lines, sometimes area charts, sometimes some out of the box charts, but most of the times basically bars and lines. So yeah, I do like experimenting, but unfortunately I can't use all the time.
Yep, that's cool. And finally, what role does emotion play in your data storytelling?
Wow, that's the hardest one so far. It depends, I would say. It depends on the client. There are some clients, it depends on stakeholders actually, not clients, because the same client there might be different stakeholders that I could approach a solution differently. So it depends if a specific stakeholder really understand all of the context behind the data, right, and really know what this person, and he or she really knows what they want to do. For example, let's pretend a executive reporting, then emotion has a lot to play here, right? Because at the end of the day, executive reporting is always to provide not only the current status and the current snapshot, but to make someone happy or not that happy, right? In other words, do I need to bug someone to solve this bug or this issue, or I do need to make this person happy so I can get more budget to move forward with this project. So yeah, emotion has a lot to play, but not all of the time.
Yep, no, that's cool. Perfect, that's it. That was a 5. And you're right, I thought the last one was the hardest one, but that's why I sort of ordered them that way. Awesome. The next Tug meeting is, in my terms, tomorrow night. So add on about 36 hours from here. Agatha's presenting on taming the cannot mix aggregate and non-aggregate beast. We've all seen that error before. So she's going to go through and actually explain what that is. So obviously one meeting, it just depends on where you are in the world. As we were joking with time slots earlier, I don't think many people from the US are going to be awake between 1 and 4, but if you are, you're quite welcome to attend. Obviously Agatha's based in Europe, so for us in Australia, it's late at night. For Europe and for the rest of the world, it's fairly early in the morning. It's really early in the morning if you're in the US, or obviously in Brazil, because it's sort of the same time zone, right?
Yeah.
So this recording and a whole heap of other tags are on YouTube at Team DataFam. There's also the audio podcast on Apple and Spotify, so you can listen when you're not actually behind a screen. Hopefully people aren't behind screens all the time. And email me at team.datafam@gmail.com if you have any feedback, any ideas, any ways to change things up from what we do now, or if you just want to present. As I said, we're open to be presenting anything that's mildly Tableau related. But thank you, Marcelo, for that. It was awesome to actually see this being released. So I did see a few previews of that a few months ago, and it's come on in leaps and bounds since then. And it's awesome that it's now a production system that people can actually go and use properly. And yeah, let's see if we've got a lifetime deal like Fee was asking for, or just pay for a month and see how it goes. So thank you for your time. But a few more things. So IronViz, if you don't know about what IronViz is, what in the US it's the 18th, so you've got 3 days left. If you're in Australia, you've still got 3 days left, but submit by the 21st of November. I assume that's Seattle time. So we've got a little bit left on the end of this. This year's theme is food and drink. Get stuck into it quickly. You don't have much time to complete your submissions and get them in. Obviously, the tagline is always win or learn, you can't lose. You will win prizes. You could be on stage next year at TC26, or you're just going to learn something along the way. There's a lot of people putting in a lot of effort, as they do every year, to doing the IronViz presentations, and there'll be plenty of discussion after the submissions close, and then when the winners come out, and then who's in the top 10 and who's in the top 3 on stage for TC next year. And also, okay, and there's all the details. Sorry, I forgot that slide was there. But there's all the details there. Get in, do your best effort, submit it through by the 21st of November, Seattle time, and obviously down at the bottom right, you can win different prizes as well. And something else I just found out last night is there's a new Tableau hackathon out, which finishes on the 12th of January. Again, all about Tableau and Tableau Next, various prizes. Obviously, we've got the grand prize of $17,000 US, and it goes down from there. If you saw Ann Jackson's presentation a few weeks ago, I still haven't got that recording up because there was problems with her video, and I can't fix that, and that will be released today. But you can compete, you can set up a team or yourself, enter to win prizes. You've got basically 2 months to actually build something that shows off Tableau or Tableau Next or any other, what's called Data 360, used to be called Data Cloud, to win those prizes as well. Check the QR code, look at the website for details. I think that's it. Even more details there, etc. There's meetings planned to help you out as well with that. $45,000 in cash prizes. You're not going to win all the 45 grand, but you'll get a part of that. And that's the last slide. So again, thank you, Marcelo, for that. I'm just going to stop sharing my presentation so I can see everyone properly.
Yeah.
As I said, awesome presentation. Good to see it finally out. Good to see that people can actually use it. I think it's going to get a lot of traction, I think. Jeff, do you have a question?
No, sorry. I was just turning on my camera because you said I'm going to open up the screen so you can see everyone.
That's awesome.
But I'd give you something to look at.
That was an awesome prezo. Thank you so much for sharing it. And, it always bends my mind what people can do with it. But I think that this has got so much time that it can save people and is really worthwhile. So thanks for sharing.
Thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, it was a really good conversation.
Cool.
Awesome. I think that's it. Everyone's got their cameras off, and that's okay. But that's fine. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.